6 exciting plays.
Yeah.
So, and none of them happened in 49ers games.
It is funny. I've been kind of talking about this all week.
So speaking of ass beatings, you watch any of those games this weekend?
I did, actually. I watched a few. Definitely paid attention to Bills Broncos. I've got some thoughts on that. 49ers Seahawks, I watched a little bit of. I mean, it turned bad real quick. Patriots Texans, watch a good chunk of that. And then Rams Bears, definitely towards... I think I watched the beginning of that, but I didn't watch the full thing, but like caught like the big Caleb Williams throw and stuff like that. I got a good portion of all of them, but I paid attention to a few that I really wanted to see. I really don't know what I was doing Sunday to kind of miss some of these other games.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was only over the course of the 4 games, I think there were only maybe like 6 exciting plays.
Yeah.
So, and none of them happened in 49ers games.
Yeah. It is funny. I've been kind of talking about this all week, and I don't think I've really brought it up on the podcast yet. But, there's a lot, and this is just obviously super biased talk, but there's a lot of like Chiefs fans out there. I assume they're Chiefs fans. Like, oh, this playoff sucks without Mahomes in it. Like, blah, blah, blah. And then you got people kind of retweeting it or whatever the fuck it's called now, re-Xing it. I don't know. No, actually, it's fucking glorious. And, part of it I can understand. Let's get out the Patrick Mahomes part. Everybody hates the Chiefs, blah, blah, blah. Who cares?
Yeah.
Part of it I understand as far as like some of these games, especially in the wild card round, were really good. We saw really close games, came down to the wire. And so I can understand it. But what we're not seeing is elite play from any of these teams. All of these teams are beatable. All of them are bad. They're almost historically bad. There was 25 turnovers. I didn't do the math, but I imagine we're in the 20s somewhere just in the divisional round alone, not including the wild card rounds. Like so many turnovers, so much bad quarterback play. And I understand 2 of these guys are head to head right now for MVP. You don't miss Mahomes because he went in and beat everybody's ass. That was playoff Mahomes. That's what he did. Like it or not, he went in. It was the best part of his entire season. Even his MVP year, great year, even better playoffs. Patrick Mahomes or playoff Pat or whatever they call him. I forget what nickname us Chiefs fans and, frenzied people do, but it's a real thing. He's a whole different player. So is Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is a very different player in the playoffs. I can't explain it. I don't know why. I don't know why some people are like that, but he's a wild player, a low amount of turnovers, and just massive, massive plays that changed, at least as a Chiefs fan, the history of our entire organization. Take Wasp, for example. It's a big play we ran against the 49ers in the Super Bowl. We're down 21-10. The game is essentially over. And Patrick Mahomes goes over to a specific guy that we're going to talk about later and said, can we run Wasp? And the guy got on the headset, got to Andy Reid and said, he wants to run Wasp. And then we run Wasp, which is basically, Tyreek Hill basically ran for 1,000 yards this way and then took off left. It's a play that needs a lot of time to develop, tosses it down the field. Outside of those 6 plays we saw, Patrick Mahomes, again, not to toot our own horns here, he does that pretty much every play in the playoffs. That's just the style of football he plays. Last couple of years haven't been as glamorous, but that's Patrick Mahomes' playoff football. That's what he does. And for some reason, he's better when he's down, except against the Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Terrible when he's up. Example, take our game a couple of years ago in the AFC Championship. 21-10. I've been saying the score wrong. I saw it recently. 21-10. But yeah, so yeah, I could understand it. Yeah. It's glorious without him because we're getting really shitty football teams against really shitty football teams. We don't have a powerhouse team. We don't have a powerhouse quarterback.
My own personal, my take on the matter, I think as far as it relates to the quality of the playoffs, which I would say is probably the lowest. It's definitely top 2 in like worst playoff seasons in the last 10 years. I think has a lot to do with there's no like, I don't want to say like underdog, but there's no like heartfelt story for people whose teams didn't make it to kind of get behind. I think there's been a lot of momentum. You know, you have the anti-Chiefs people, right? So you have the anti-dynasty people, which is only fun if they're in the playoffs to root against.
Right.
You have, you know, for me, example, like a Bengals fan, like a team that just does everything wrong and then was able to, you know, make a Super Bowl, make 2 AFC championship games. Like a lot of people are probably rooting for that team because just generally speaking, they're so shit. I think it was the Jaguars, at least for me personally, it was. Prior to them exiting, at least on the AFC side, I think that generally speaking, you probably could get behind the Rams unless you're an LA hater, or maybe behind the Bears unless you were a Bears hater. Obviously, they've been eliminated now, but the Seahawks is just such a like a mid team. Like not, or I shouldn't say mid, but like a meh. Like it just gives you like a really blah feeling. Like you don't give a shit one way or the other. Like if they win, it's like okay, cool. They haven't been good in a few years, but if they you know, lose, it's like, yeah, they probably weren't that good to begin with, like whatever. 49ers, it's like they're there every season, they always lose. There's just nothing new. There's nothing exciting about the 49ers team. They don't spark any kind of like hope inside of you or like, you know, light some sort of fire under you. Like it's the 49ers. They're generally a good team. They generally, at least in recent history, have made the playoffs, have been capable of making runs and have fell short of that. And that's just kind of like a repetitive story with them. The Texans, it's like, I guess it depends on how you feel about CJ Stroud. I personally think that he had a rookie year that was not indicative of what is going to be the rest of his career. So I've thought that since last year when he was playing. It's kind of like, you know, watching him and I'm like, I don't know. Like I didn't see it. Like his rookie year, you didn't get to see him a lot because the Texans were like, you know, coming off like bad seasons. And it's like, okay, well, they're not going to get televised games, but having been able to watch the Texans games the last, you know, year and a half, 2 years, it's like when I do see CJ Stroud play, there's just nothing there that like jumps off the page at me. I mean, I don't think he's exceedingly talented. I think he's probably an average QB in the league, who has a lot of expectations on his shoulder and seems like he crumbles under that pressure.
Yeah.
Drake May, he's an up and comer. I like Drake May, but the Patriots were so good for so long. There's just nobody who is interested in that storyline outside of New England, outside of their core fan base. Like nobody gives a shit. The Bills got eliminated. I think that was that team for some people. You know, the Josh Allen redemption story. I know that you don't necessarily agree with that or like Josh Allen or like the fact that, you know, or weren't going to really believe in the run if it happened this year because they didn't have to go through the appropriate opposition that you felt they might have gone through. And the Broncos, I just think are like I think it's very similar to New England. They obviously haven't had the success, but if you're a Broncos fan, I think it's cool. I don't think many people outside of the Broncos core fan base like the Broncos. Like I think a lot of people don't like them outside of their fan base. They're not like one of those teams who once again, I'm going to say the Jags, like you see them, you're like, oh, cool. Like they've never won shit. If they're good, I want like, or if they can win, like I'd rather see them win if my team's out of it than other people. I don't think people feel that way about the Broncos, or at least not in like my circle. I haven't felt that energy or that buzz outside of their core fan base. So it's one of those things where it's just like there's no team for people to get behind besides potentially the Rams. Once again, LA has a lot of haters in general. I'm an LA hater, but if I had to pick a team to win the Super Bowl right now, I'd like the Rams to win if anybody, just because I think everybody kind of feels for Matt Stafford and all those years he spent dwindling in Detroit.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna swap to this other page so we can actually kind of take a look at these scores.
But that's my take on the matter. Like, I just think that it's not exciting.
I look, for me too, is I want good football. This is uncharted territory for me, and then even for a lot of people. So since 2001, who's going to beat the Patriots? That's who you're rooting for, right? Unless you're a New England fan. And then me as a Chiefs fan, I'm obviously like, who do we get to match up against, whether it's in the Super Bowl or at least the AFC Championship game? It's been like that for the last 7 years. And now I'm just like, okay, I don't care if the Patriots win. Nobody really wants to see it and start, a potential new dynasty. Even speaking from a Chiefs fan, because I also want my dynasty to continue on, but nobody kind of cares. The Bears again, but we're looking at a bunch of teams with like new head coaches. They're not supposed to be there. Like, and it is cool that they are. That's great. That's fantastic. I love Mike Vrabel. I thought Tennessee was dumb as fuck for firing him. That was their biggest downfall, and it will probably never end. They're probably like one of those cursed teams that, like, you fucked up and let go of your best asset, you're done.
I think I say the stat, but I think I saw the numbers today said since they fired Mike Vrabel, they've had 3 head coaches and 4 GMs.
That's insane. And none of them are good. And then now, I like Robert Saleh. I really do. But I think he's walking into a better situation than the Jets, but another Jets situation where he doesn't have a good team. Now, I guess he gets play calls, or he plans on calling plays for the defensive side. But that defense for the Jets was still better than what the Jets are without him, right? So, like, he was still an asset to the Jets. But, like, he's walking into another bad situation, and I think, unfortunately for him, he's going to get fucking fired again. They're going to give him 2 years.
I kind of have like an off the cuff. I say off the cuff. I probably thought of this before, but I have like a little thing that I'd like to see the NFL institute, or like, I'd like to see NFL teams institute in contracts. They should be required to have a like mandatory, like, and I don't know if coaches or there's like a union that could advocate for this, but they should contractually agree to like 3 or 4 years. Like, you get 3 or 4 years, we can't fire you unless you do something like off the field, like any kind of like,
detrimental to the team kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Detrimental to the team kind of thing. But we can't just fire you for losing for, 3 or 4 years, because a lot of times, like for example, if you look at the Jets situation, I mean, 3 or 4 years, they go through 3 or 4 coaches.
Yeah.
Like, and experts or pundits would tell you that you don't have, like, that's not enough time for a coach to institute a system, to build a culture and do all that stuff. And I think that the general person would tend to agree with that. So I'd like to see something like that arise. I think that would be good for the game of football if there weren't. And also, like, that would stabilize some of these other teams, right? You see big swings with teams like going 4-12 and then the next year going 12-4. And, a lot of times it's like, oh, well, they had this offensive coordinator, or 12-4 to 4-12, whatever. They had this OC or DC or whomever, and, they had him there for, 5 years. But then, he worked his way up from position coach to like OC. He's OC for, 2 years. A second year, they do really well. They go from 4-12 to 12-4. It's under his system. And then he immediately leaves. And then you just don't have that type of consistency because there's so much head coach turnover. So I think that if it was mandated that the coaches get to, 3 years to build the team, and they couldn't be like, fired for obviously things outside of conduct, you would also see like teams who are able to develop these positional coaches into good coordinators. You would see them stabilize as well. I think you'd see a more competitive league if you were able to do that. So just want to throw that out there.
I agree with that. Yeah, it's a mess, and good luck to Saleh. So that's one of the big hires that happened since we last recorded an episode. And then just
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Cut you off.
No, go ahead, because I'm kind of moving on and getting into some of the coaching fire plus the games.
Yeah, I mean, the games are. Let's wrap up the games because I'd rather talk about the coaches, and there's not a whole lot else to talk about.
Broncos beat the Bills, causes Sean McDermott to get fired. You agree with that?
Do I agree with it? No, but I will say that I feel like I was one of the first people to say it out loud that was a potential scenario that happened. So I just want to take credit for that personally.
Who do you give blame for more in this game? Bum ass Josh Allen or Sean McDermott?
I blame. Hold on, I'll tell you exactly who I blame.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'd say more Josh Allen. Again, we've seen a ton of turnovers in this game. Josh Allen committed 4 on during this game itself. You just can't win football games like that. You've got to control and protect the ball. And the argument is, well, he has no receivers. Look, Patrick Mahomes won a fucking Super Bowl with Juju Smith-Schuster and Kadarius Toney. I don't want to hear that he doesn't have receivers. Which then in turn could take that blame from Josh Allen to the coaching. And why are we coaching these receivers up? The ones that we do have, which would be Sean McDermott. But happy to see them lose in this one. And I had mentioned, I hope both teams get sick, recover well, because I don't like people getting sick. And I don't like the injury to Bo Nix. Kind of best of both worlds, because I don't think Jarrett Stidham's going to handle anything that the Patriots defense is going to throw his way. But who do you have to blame for this?
Okay, I was trying to pull up some factoids here, but I see that that's going to be harder than I need to do. So I blame Brandon Beane, the GM of the Bills, for not acquiring any key pieces over the course of the season or last off season and putting them in a position to win. I think this team went actually a game. I think a game farther than their peak. I think that the absolute max potential for the roster as currently constructed was the wild card round. And they were able to skirt away with the win there and make it to the divisional round. I think that they were a borderline playoff team this year. So I'm not surprised, but I think a lot of that has to do with the roster and the roster construction and the team. So for example, Josh Allen, James Cook are kind of the two key pieces that obviously they were trying to not give up. In 2023, I mean, Khalil Shakir, they were putting out there as a number one receiver. They were hoping for the development of Keon Coleman, and that didn't happen over the course of the season. He actually played terrible going into the midway point of the season, and Brandon Beane did nothing to go out and solve that problem. And then as a late season kind of Hail Mary for something, they acquired Brandon Cooks, who made some key plays, but he wasn't the piece they needed, and he didn't have enough time to get, involved in the offense and get familiarized with the system and all that. I mean, you had Gabe Davis, you let him go to the Jaguars. He was playing well for you. You let him go to the Jaguars. He suffers a big injury. He comes back. He plays like crap. He doesn't play well for you now that you reacquire him. So you kind of scuffed that. I don't think that he was worth reacquiring. I think that was just maybe we'll get somebody Josh Allen's familiar with, and hopefully the chemistry works. Dalton Kincaid's injured. You have Dawson Knox who does well, but you do nothing to kind of backfill that possession, big body, big play, playmaker target in the middle of the field. You kind of stay small. You had Stephon Diggs. You obviously let him go. I don't think anybody's necessarily blaming you with the way that he is, on and off the field, but he comes back with the Patriots and he beats you. And he scores a touchdown in the game, so that's a little bit embarrassing. You had Isaiah McKenzie as a slot guy who's basically the exact same player in my mind he was for the Bills as Khalil Shakir. Khalil Shakir might be more talented. So you replaced Isaiah McKenzie with Khalil Shakir. So you replaced basically what was a wide receiver 3 with a wide receiver 3 who played up to a wide receiver 2 who you made a wide receiver 1 who was not capable of filling those shoes. You had Emmanuel Sanders a few years ago. You let him go. You needed a big-bodied wide receiver target to go out there and be that playmaker, jump ball threat. And you just don't have that. They have all slot guys. I mean, they look like Tiny Tim's team playing out there. I really don't understand that. You bring in Von Miller for a couple of years and then you let him go. And replace him with Leonard Floyd, and you have Greg Rousseau's doing well. He's a star in the league. He's playing opposite AJ Epinesa. Jordan Phillips was a defensive tackle that I believe is no longer on the team. He might be. I don't know if he aged out of the role, but I don't think
he is. But I also think he might have been injured. I can't remember. I do say, I mean, it is what it is. Like the Chiefs.
I just think it's the roster. I don't think the roster was capable of making a Super Bowl run. And I don't think Brandon Beane went out and made the appropriate transactions, especially seeing how the season was playing out and seeing how this was potentially the year where he would have no Burrow, no Mahomes, no Lamar, like all that stuff was happening. And even if those guys did make the playoffs, they're going to be extremely beat up and worn out and worn down and run down going into the playoffs. So this was, by all account, like your best shot at catching those guys sleeping a little bit, even if they did make the playoffs, and there was always the real possibility that they didn't, and you didn't go out and make the necessary roster moves to be able to handle those situations appropriately. And Brandon Cook signing 5 seconds before the playoffs start doesn't do anything for me. And it obviously didn't do anything for them. So,
yeah, I mean, again, the best parallel I could draw is, the Chiefs did this, for a number of years, and we just kept winning those 1-score games, right? And we somehow made it happen for 2 of the 3 Super Bowls we went to, and it's a frustrating moment. But at the end of the day, like you're touted as one of the top quarterbacks in the league, and a lot of people try to argue that this guy is the top quarterback in the league. And if that's the case, you got to make the plays. They are a 3-point differential, and he threw 4 interceptions. Or didn't throw 4 interceptions. What, he fumbled the ball like a few times, 1 interception, whatever the stats are here.
I think he had 3 fumbles.
He had 2 interceptions, and does it say fumbles? Can't remember how it was. 2 interceptions, 3 fumbles. I'm pretty sure. And that's like, you just can't do that. And realistically, that's why I kind of put this on his back. Like, you've got to protect the ball. And this is kind of what Josh Allen does. He chokes in the playoffs. So he's going to be one of those quarterbacks that is going to have phenomenal regular seasons, and he's never going to win a ring because next year Mahomes is back. So good luck, fucker.
I will also say that just in relation to this game, Joe Brady's offense was stifled. He's coming out of this thing looking like diamond in a coal mine for some reason. Like, a lot of people are going after him saying they want Joe Brady for their, to fill some of these head coaching spots and stuff like that. But they scored 30 points. They scored 30 points in a very unconventional way. And the offense was unable to produce any sort of momentum towards the end of the game. And some of that's got to fall on him too. Once again, I blame Brandon Beane. I wouldn't have fired Sean McDermott in this case, although I did think that he was going to get fired if they lost. I think that maybe that this is the Bills' attempt to not lose Joe Brady. I think maybe they value Joe Brady over Sean McDermott, look for an internal promotion hire there kind of thing, where they're like, okay, well, everybody's, gunning for Joe Brady. We've kind of given Sean McDermott his run. We feel like we've reached the ceiling of what he's able to do with the organization, and we don't want to lose this asset we have in Joe Brady potentially to, a division rival in the Jets or somebody's like that. So we're gonna get rid of Sean McDermott. say that, this is run its course and we're going to try to hire Joe Brady from the inside, knowing that he already knows the building, already lives here, he's established here, his family lives here. It's probably an easier path to promoting him and getting him in a position where he can potentially have success, and he has familiarity with the players and the scheme and all that stuff. So I think that's potentially the reason for the move in Buffalo, but I guess we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah, to be fair with Joe Brady, like that offense, was pretty fucking horrendous until he took over. Once he took over, there was a massive shift. And sometimes just changes do that. It could be the same as the head coach. Baltimore, this wouldn't be good for you, but Baltimore could come out next year and just fucking light the world on fire with just the change in scenery, the change in coach, but and 9 other fucking teams that need a new head coach. But we'll see what happens. Broncos do advance. They're going to be playing the Patriots, who ousted the Texans. We talked a little bit about CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, they're done with him, right? Is that what you're thinking? Because I don't see how this man gets another contract at the rate that he's playing.
Organizationally, I don't know what's left on his contract. I would be looking to move CJ Stroud if he has a number of years left on his contract, 2 or more years. I would be looking to move him, potentially get some draft capital and a veteran in there. I feel like with this defense, you have a closing window before you have to start paying a lot of these guys. So I'd be looking to bring an above average, veteran quarterback in if that's at all possible. And you just need to be able to run some kind of semblance of an offense, and not, throw 4 interceptions in the first half of a football game. Now, I will say that if I'm the Texans GM, I'm also looking to move Nico Collins. I mean, that guy can't play more than 2 games in a row without getting hurt. I know he's an extreme talent, but as a lot of people in the business say, the best ability is availability, and his is very low.
Yeah, I could see that. One note on CJ Stroud, though, is I know you feel, and I think most people feel, that rookie season was the anomaly. He is not the anomaly. The rookie season was. However, I don't know who their OC was before this year, but their OC this year, I looked him up earlier. His name is Nick Caley. I think it's how you say it, Caley. He's a fucking nobody from what I've seen. A lot of assistant jobs, ranging from high school to college, and then a lot in the NFL. He was around for some of the Brady years and the Patriots as like an assistant, somebody, like tight ends coach is mainly where he's at. He went from tight ends coach to an OC, and that offense couldn't get anything going whatsoever. And they did play off the backs of their defense because that defense is stout. And I'm with you. This is your time. If you want to do something before you got to pay or trade these guys, now's your time to do it. And I'd be interested to see if they decide, because they're 2 days removed now, so it could be a little early. Some teams actually like to calm down before they make rash decisions. I'd be interested to see if once this coaching carousel happens, if maybe they try to pick up a stronger offensive coordinator than what this is. As much as I hate him, maybe Matt Nagy calling plays over just being Andy Reid's, understudy. Maybe he's even a better option because he's familiar with what a good offense looks like. So I'd be interested because I'm not seeing anything from this guy's resume that goes, holy shit, this is who I want running our franchise quarterback. But if they got a strong OC and CJ Stroud is still pulling a CJ Stroud, then I would believe that is a high possibility. But I think with better coordination, get a little more, we don't know if Tank Dell will ever play football again. When him and Nico Collins were both on the field, they were cooking, but I don't think it was with this OC.
I think they have a good group of young wide receivers who have talent too. I really
the Higgins guy.
Higgins.
Yep.
Yeah, I enjoy him. I think Noel, it seems to be somebody who they're looking at as potentially becoming a star, and Xavier Hutchinson seems to have kind of like a big playability as well. He did have a key. I don't know if do you consider it a drop if it gets intercepted, like a deflected ball kind of thing? He just didn't catch a ball and it got intercepted.
I think I saw that one. Yeah, I mean that's a drop. Like The deflections suck so bad, right? I mean, I watched Travis Kelce do a one that I think that was the nail in the coffin for the playoffs for us. Which again, I'm kind of glad because there's no way I was riding this team into the playoffs. But that deflection turned interception. It sucks.
Yeah. So I mean, that one you can't put on CJ, but 3 interceptions that you can put on him, and they all happened on first down, which is something that I don't even understand why you're throwing the ball so much on first down.
You got Woody Marks and Nick Chubb back there, and I know Nick Chubb is a shell of a man he used to be, but you got to give these guys a shot, and you've got to open up the run game, and it's an issue that we see in a lot of teams, Kansas City included. Yeah.
That being said, I'm just going to throw some guys out there who I think might be worth giving a shot. If you're looking to move CJ Stroud, and I would be if I was the Texans, potentially Malik Willis, the way that he's played, he's got some seniority in the NFL these days. He played outstanding when he filled in for Jordan Love, to the point where some people outside of the organization were kind of murmuring that there may be a QB competition to be had. I don't think that was ever a realistic expectation, but he was playing well enough for it to be something that people talked about being talked about.
Same as like Mac Jones v. Brock Purdy.
And he's owed a contract. Maybe you look at seeing if you can, get Mac Jones. Daniel Jones is owed a contract if you're interested in what he can offer you post injury. Marcus Mariota is owed a contract, and he played well in lieu of Jaden Daniels while he was out with his injury. Depending on what that is. Tyler Huntley, I'm not giving a shot. Gardner Minshew, I'm not really giving a shot. Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't think so. Trey Lance.
I didn't know Jimmy Garoppolo was still in the league. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
Who does he play for?
Yeah, I'm just looking. Currently the Los Angeles Rams.
I feel like I knew that. Yeah, because I think he was supposed to start this year because it wasn't expected that Stafford would play.
Yeah, so
even just a veteran body to get in there to help. Even if it is a Mariota and you still want to start CJ Stroud, you drafted CJ as your franchise quarterback, but you need somebody in that backfield who can help kind of coach you up. I mean, Davis Mills looked better than CJ Stroud. And I'm also very confused and kind of, if I'm a Texas fan, I'm pissed at the coaches because why did they not try putting in Davis Mills after that horrendous first half?
I don't know. I was talking about it a little bit, and we'll touch on this as well. But I was telling them to fucking pull Brock Purdy during that Seattle game as well. I said it in like the second quarter. We were actually watching the game at the same time. I was like, I'm pulling Brock Purdy, dude. They're getting fucking crushed, and they're not going to win this game.
Yeah, let's get on to that game. Unless you got something else about the Patriots Texans.
No, I mean, feel bad for the Texans. I was actually kind of rooting for them, something that I don't typically do because they ousted the Bengals from the playoffs twice in the 2010s, and I hated that. But anyhow, moving on. Good luck to them in their future endeavors.
Not much to talk about this first game. Seattle, I mean, they look good, but this 49ers team, their luck ran out. It looks.
What can you can't. So this is a thing. Like, you don't want to take credit away from the Seahawks. This game was an anomaly, though. They're not that good of a team that they're beating a playoff team 41-6. This was a thing where, the 49ers got caught up with the Kittle injury, McCaffrey getting injured, Tongues or whatever his name is getting injured during the game. No Fred Warner.
Couple more torn ACLs, huh?
Yeah, Ayuk is still nowhere to be found. I think he bought tickets to the game just to watch from the stands. It's just one of those things where it's like they had a roster on paper coming into the season that you looked at and you said, this is a good 49ers team. Look for them to make a run.
Yeah.
A lot of those people didn't make it past that just being on a piece of paper, and the people who did played above what they should have the entirety of the season, got them into a position where they were still fighting technically, I think, for a 1 seed the last couple weeks of the season, which is nuts to me. And then they finally just, all of that like extra load on all the joints and the training and the, reliance and all that stuff, like it just caught up with them. and they were decimated in this game. Not to say that the Seahawks aren't a good team. They are a good team. They've played well all year. They continue to play well, but they didn't have to do anything to win this game.
Yeah.
There was nothing that they had to work for to win this game. They just had to show up and play football.
Yep.
I mean, their talent alone, this wasn't scheming. This wasn't, out of this world play by offense or defense. This was just like they showed up and they played baseline football, and the talent of their roster combined with the amount of injuries that the 49ers suffered just did not equal out to be a good game. And, so I feel bad for the 49ers, but nothing you can do.
Yeah, so 49ers lose Tongues, whatever his name is. Christian McCaffrey got hurt too. Did he eventually play? Is it an injury that came out about him?
He was questionable. I don't know if he came back in that game. But I don't remember him coming back in that game. He might have for a couple of plays, but I mean, like I said, I was pulling Purdy in the second.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you pull your guy. I mean, we think
especially
about
somebody who's injury prone like Christian is.
Yeah,
and he's a little bit older. You don't know how many years of him you have left. You got to take him out of the game at that point, and you're saving for next season.
Yeah, there's not much out there as far as injury. It says he'll embrace bringing another back in to kind of help ease the load, whatever. Some dumbass news stories.
And the only other thing that I have to say about this is I feel bad for Kittle. I think that these injuries are going to be a real impact on his legacy. I think he would had he not suffered all of these injuries, and I think that this might be the story of his career, is the what if he wasn't injured thing. But he has he's the type of two-way tight end, blocking and route running, blocking and passing, receiving tight end, I guess you would say. Accompanied with, the right attitude.
He's a football guy.
Yeah, he's just an all-around football guy. Seems like an all-around nice guy in real life too. I feel bad. He would have had a shot at, getting close to some records at some point in his career. I think that these injuries are a real setback for him. I'm not saying his career's over. I'm just saying that I think at this point, his shot at, getting in the conversation as one of the best ever is going to be stifled by these injuries. I don't think he's going to be able to work his way into that conversation unless he has a 25-year career at this point because of, all this time that he's going to miss. So you kind of feel bad for that. He's not able to put on the performances that maybe he should. And you got to feel for the guy. I know I feel for the guy.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, no matter how mentally strong you are and football minded and, just, I'll do anything. I'll put the body on the line. At some point, that shit starts to catch up to you. And mentally, you cannot be prepared to go out there and just give it your all. It took Aaron Rodgers 2 seasons to even throw similar to what he used to. Now, obviously, he's a 75-year-old man still trying to play in the NFL. But, that first year back with New York, he looked awful until about the very tail end of that season. And he would not move. He stayed right in the pocket, got rid of the ball no matter where the fuck it was going. At some point, it mentally fucks with you. And, just, am I going to get hurt? But yeah, I agree. If no injuries happen, there's no doubt in my mind that even as a two-way tight end, as you said, this man could easily eclipse that top 5 and then be a part of the GOAT conversation when tight ends are concerned. He's electric on the field. And then he'll also throw your ass to the ground. And it just sucks that he does keep getting injured. And then this is an injury that's probably going to set him back into a chunk of the season. Because it happened so fucking late.
Was it a clean tear? Do we know?
I did not see any reports. I'm not sure, but we talked about it last week. It was bad enough for him to down a bottle of Patron. So it's a pretty significant injury.
He might just do that because he likes it, dude.
Good luck to those guys. Shanahan should keep his job, and they're going to be like the Chiefs. They got a lot of work to do this offseason. Ayuk has got to go. I didn't really think about the fact that Ayuk is not getting paid because he's missing mandatory shit. So he has not been getting paid. Why wouldn't you at least show up for team meetings to get paid?
I think he's going full Antonio Brown.
So I brought that up in the office today. Did we miss a hit somewhere that caused this man to go full Antonio Brown? Because I drew that parallel immediately with the way he's been acting.
we might not have been there when he crashed his car. I don't know, dude. It could have been an off the field hit.
I mean, it's just wild. I mean, you held out, you got the bag, and then you never played it down in football. Like,
I mean, I guess he still is.
Get it.
What is he living off the signing bonus? Did he have a large signing bonus with that contract?
I don't know.
Here's my thing: if you're his agent, you have to be going nuts.
Yeah. Yo, get your fucking ass. Yeah, it's a commission-based thing. And if they're not getting paid, the agent's not getting paid. All that work, all that holding out to do, it's a lost cause. I hope 49ers just move on from him, and I hope he learns his lesson by never getting signed to an NFL team again, because he's a scrum.
I think the craziest part about this is he's acting this way after getting paid, and there are still fan bases, i.e. the Commanders, who
want him.
We live around a lot of Commanders fans, and they're saying, yeah, like, we might get Ayuk. That might be good for us. And it's like, what are you talking about? Why would you want him at this point? What are you going to do with him?
Remember that Pittsburgh
drive around your new stadium and not play? Yeah, dude.
And then our last game of the divisional round here is the Rams versus the Bears. Probably the better game. There wasn't as many turnovers in this one. It was a little sloppy. Caleb Williams threw a throw that a lot of people clearly don't watch football said Mahomes never could. I could pull up about 35 plays in a matter of seconds to show.
I think you're just too tuned into like the Chiefs stuff, dude. Because I've not seen that one time.
But
I've
will
seen one person say that Mahomes couldn't make that
constantly. Throw. It's not Chiefs shit. It's Bears motherfuckers go. Mahomes could never. Anyways,
well, yeah, but you get the cross section of like, okay, the Bears fans are talking about Patrick Mahomes,
yeah, that's true.
Which people outside,
and I'm getting the replies. The one thing I can say is a buddy of mine said this, and I can't agree more. It's kind of fun to watch Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson do some of this shit. It's kind of a fun team to watch, which I don't think I'd ever say anything about the Bears, and especially Caleb Williams, because the way he came into the league, the way he acted last year, the fact that this man Texas punter and said, don't worry, bud, you ain't going to have to punt a single ball. And then they were the highest punting team in the NFL last year. To watch what the absolute turnaround. So it's an absolute credit to Ben Johnson, who clearly is missed in Detroit. And good for Caleb Williams to at least look to take to the coaching and listen and learn. And I think it was a pretty damn good run for them. And I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon.
So I might have the hot take of the episode here then, because this is my thoughts on it. First of all, game shouldn't have gone to overtime. Shouldn't have been that close. That was horrid defense on that last play, that rare of a throw by Caleb Williams. I think if you go back and watch the games in this season, specifically those comeback games, I think the Bears, if you're watching that game by eye test, they should not have won a single one of those games. And I think that Caleb Williams has a horseshoe up his ass, rainbow colored horseshoe up his ass, because he does not play well for 90% of a football game. And because their defense generates so many turnovers and has the capability to stop other teams' offenses, it puts him in a situation where he, I'm not going to say he doesn't make a couple of good, there's some ridiculous throws that he makes, but he's not consistently capable of performing on the level of an above NFL quarterback. He is a bottom 5 quarterback for 3.5 quarters of a football game. And then he turns into an anomaly 6 minutes. And I don't even know that he particularly turns into an anomaly, but everything just starts going his way for the last 6 minutes is what I'm going to say. And I look for this to fall off in a big way if he doesn't make some large improvements in the realm of consistency. And I think that this is akin to kind of Trevor Lawrence and what you've seen out of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And, Trevor Lawrence is more of a game to game, but you've also seen it season to season where he had a good rookie season. He had the huge sophomore slump. It's kind of the same with Caleb Williams. He had not a great rookie season. His sophomore season is an anomaly as far as I'm concerned so far in his career. And I think that much like CJ Stroud, we can't anoint this guy now. We need to make him prove it over the course of the next 2 or 3 seasons. So, I mean, I'm excited. If I'm a Bears fan, you see what the team can be. You see what their potential is. And given improvements to the team, I think that, they will continue to make playoff runs like this. That being said, I wouldn't expect it, and I personally don't expect it. I look for them to be a fringe playoff team next year. Look for them to go like 9-8 next year and be really on the cusp of either making or missing the playoffs. Because eventually, much like with the Chiefs, the one score wins, these large comeback victories, it's not a sustainable model. You got to find a way to play games close and win, in a reasonable way.
I think I don't disagree with much of what you said there, but I do think there is improvement. There were memes coming out saying we should tell Caleb Williams and the Bears that it's the fourth quarter at the very start of the game, because you are 100% correct. That's what they've done all season long. But I would think opposite. I think because of the absolute turnaround we saw in this team that hasn't been relevant since smoking Jay Cutler, and then before that, the 85 Bears or whatever it was, I think those issues get resolved. They work through some shit in the offseason. It's a full second season. I would think absolute opposite, and I think there's a chance they start running that division. But we shall see. But parts of that, especially towards the end, made that a good game. The Rams, once again, disappointing. And I don't know that they beat the Seahawks, which could lead us right into our picks. We've only got 2 games to talk about here. Both championship games. Which one do you want to pick first?
Well, I mean, obviously, I think we go Broncos-Patriots first. I'm going to take the Patriots. I mean, you're talking about the Broncos going in there with a very good defense and an offense that I think struggled with Bo Nix, and now they're going to have to play with backup. Maybe the simplification of the game plan helps the offense play better. Not sure. I know they put up 33 points, and a lot of people would say, like, Doug, what are you talking about? They put up 33 points. What are you going to do? Like, what else do you want out of them? I just don't think, when you're watching them play football, they look particularly great.
Yeah, Josh Allen also turned the ball over 5 times. Like, you better put up 33 points or you do look like a shit-ass team.
Yeah, so, I mean, nothing against the backup for Denver, who is it? How do you pronounce the last name? Stidham. Jared Stidham. So, nothing against Mr. Stidham. I'm sure that he'll play well in this game. The defense will probably keep them in the game. The Patriots just have all their guys. So how are they going to, if the Patriots lose, it's kind of
on them.
Yeah. I mean, it's on them. I mean, it's really their game to lose because they have their star QB. They have all their dogs in the fight. So barring some sort of like anomaly happening, at the beginning of the game, I think the Patriots should win this game.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think the thing that I've looked at is, Broncos defense is pretty fucking good. And the same, their offense is mediocre at best. And I've been saying this all season long. I just don't think they've had a true test. And even the Bills, to me, were not a true test simply because the Bills don't have the defense like they used to have, and Josh Allen turned the ball over 5 fucking times. But for me, the Patriots are the more complete team. As you said, they don't have a shit defense. It's not like, the Broncos have the way better defense. I don't think it's way better. I definitely think it's better. It's top 2 in the league between them and the Texans. But I think the Patriots also have a pretty good defense. They have a defensive-minded coach. And then you got Super Bowl winning OC Josh McDaniels running that offense, and it's completely turned around this year. And Drake May looks like a different quarterback. So I think, the Patriots are going to win. I do want to say, however, I don't think Drake May should win MVP no matter the outcome of either one of these games. I think Stafford has played a way better season. I think the consensus is now it's between them two. And I think Stafford's got some pretty historic numbers that he put up this year. He has most yards, most touchdowns. and only 8 interceptions. He's almost 50 touchdowns, 4,500 yards, 4,700, I think. So he's
and I mean, if you consider the playoffs, let's not be mistaken. I know we just shit all over the Texans, but like, we do talk about how they have the number 1 defense and whatever, but CJ Stroud 4 interceptions in the game, and the score does not tell the story of that game. It was a 1-score game, so the Texans were in that game till midway to late midway through the fourth quarter when D'Amico Ryans made some questionable time management decisions, but that's not important. What I'm saying is the Texans were in that game, and it was a closer game than what it appears on by that final score if you were watching it. And so the Patriots barely got away. Drake May did not play like exceedingly well.
Yeah.
Just need to put that out there. So I agree with you. Matt Stafford, I think, should get the MVP here. And I don't know that I think Matt Stafford necessarily should get. I would need to look at the season to see.
He's light years ahead of everybody, other quarterback. But Lamar was last year, but Josh Allen still got it. So I don't know.
Listen, James Cook should be the MVP. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to see like the offensive numbers. I know that we're saying it's a quarterback award. I agree with that as that's like from a league perspective.
Where
the
we're
quarterback
at these days, right?
The quarterback gets it, yeah. And Matt Stafford has played the best out of these quarterbacks, or between him and Drake May.
And if it wasn't, then let's put Myles Garrett in the conversation. He broke the sack record. Let's put fucking Danielle Hunter or who's 15 from the Broncos, whatever his fucking name is. I mean, these guys are playing lights out this year. And insane football, but Rams Seahawks. Who you got?
I mean, I'm just going to ride with the Rams because I just rather see Matt Stafford win. I kind of alluded to that, mentioned it earlier in the pod, but yeah, I mean, I don't have any affinity for the Seahawks.
I think Sam Darnold making it could be interesting.
I like Sam Darnold. If whoever makes it from the NFC, I will be rooting for in the Super Bowl.
100%. And I think if the Rams show up, which they have not, to be fair, and they haven't done it all playoffs, if they show up with the team that they have on paper, Rams could easily take out any team in this entire NFL playoffs. And maybe they could do that against the Patriots in, nice controlled environment or warm environment or something. Where it's in San Francisco. Shit, it could fucking rain. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean,
but I think Rams also win this. I think Seahawks look good. Darnold would be a story for sure, especially if you somehow then win the Super Bowl, which again, I think they could, even if they're the ones that go. But yeah, I got Rams as well.
Yeah. And listen, if Matt Stafford wins another Super Bowl, I think he is arguably right now in the conversation for, top 5 QBs of all time. He gets in the Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, Drew Brees type conversation for all-time great QBs. I think he's in that conversation. I think that it's fringe right now with the general public. If he wins the second Super Bowl, I think he solidly puts himself in that conversation as one of the greats of all time.
I don't disagree. I mean, he played very well on a very bad team for many years and then got his opportunity, and the Rams haven't been better. The only time that one season with Jared Goff was really, really good. Outside of that, I don't think the Rams have been much better. Real quick, congrats to Indiana Hoosiers. Little story to tell there. I don't have a story to tell. They have the story to tell. They went from a team that nobody even knew that had a football program to the first undefeated in the modern era playoff system for college football, the first undefeated team to win the national championship.
Is that true?
That is 100% true. And even a lot of people, even the Texas coach said, we'll never see another undefeated team again. And then they did it.
The Bulldogs didn't go undefeated, what was it, 3 years ago or whatever? Or did that not count?
I think ever since it's been the LSU, was it LSU back in 2019? It's a modern era. I don't know if that is just the expanded playoffs, because we had how many teams was it last year? Was it 12 last year as well?
think this year was the first year it was 12 now.
So was it 8 last year? I cannot remember. But even still, I don't think a lot of these teams have gone undefeated. Was Joe Burrow's LSU team undefeated? Do you remember? I don't know if you ever went back and like, oh, let me see what my quarterback did in college.
I mean, I watched the highlight tape. I didn't look at the team record.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I'm looking it up right now.
But yeah, 16-0 for them. Congrats, Mendoza. You're about to get drafted to one of the worst franchises in the NFL. Tom Brady, Al Davis, and somebody else from the Raiders were there at the game to watch their future quarterback, which I kind of found interesting before anything. I guess it makes sense, though. You want to see in person what this kid's all about. I didn't really watch the game. I don't know if you did. I watched some pieces of it, but I did see the pretty incredible run that Mendoza made. And then just the entire story of Indiana doing it was kind of incredible to me.
I was very happy. I was rooting for Indiana myself. I'm very happy that they won.
I like that Miami kept it close, though. It's good to see Miami kind of back in the mix of things.
Yeah, it was a good game, and I think what this basically should start to indicate to everybody that the SEC is not some sort of like, I understand that SEC fans think that they're just a powerhouse, but there are good teams outside of the SEC. I mean, if you talk to college football people, they would, they pretty much, if they're not Ohio State fans or Michigan fans, pretty much all fucking football people or all college football people will tell you is that the SEC is just like some unbeatable powerhouse and there shouldn't even be consideration for other conferences. And having a Big Ten team not named Ohio State play an ACC team in the national championship and it be a good game and the paths that they were able to take to get there, defeating multiple SEC teams on the road to victory is, I mean, it's got to be a great feeling for your outside of the SEC college football fan to finally just, you know, I wouldn't say finally, but to just be able to sit there and, you know, kind of gloat and immerse yourself in this experience. And I know I would implore those individuals to not don't get too sour with the SEC guys, because they're immediately going to tell you like, oh, well, you know, we got 45 national champions from the SEC all time, and that's 6 times more than any other conference. What have you done for me lately? Okay. Because last time I checked, it was the Big Ten versus the SEC or ACC in the national championship. And it was a good game, and they beat the dog shit out of Alabama and Georgia to get here.
Yep.
All right. So
yeah,
go sit at home on your couch and think about 6 years ago when you were good. Okay.
A lot of
this is Indiana's year. It's Miami's year.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up about the SEC.
A lot of these national championship games too, from memory, I could be wrong, from memory, have been kind of shitty games too. Even going back to like Joe Burrow's LSU game. I mean, they blew that fucking team out. Whoever the fuck they played probably should have been there. But this also goes to show, outside those 2 bum-ass teams that you said, well, they probably should be there. Outside that, they almost didn't let Miami into this playoffs. And then Miami proved we do belong. And that was really good to see, as well as, you know, somebody who doesn't give a fuck about either one of these teams. But one or the other could have won, and it would have been, I think, cool to see. Yeah, I mean, Miami too. I don't know what Carson Beck was looking at on that last throw. I think he thought the receiver was going somewhere else and threw that interception. But I mean, this shit could have gone to fucking overtime for all we know.
Yeah. So, and just so we're clear, I did look this up. 2019 LSU, 2020 Alabama, 2022 Georgia, and 2023 Michigan were all undefeated. So this has to be
since the 12-man playoff.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't think we have much more to talk about as far as football games. Let's get into the coaching carousel real quick and just kind of our updates and our thoughts. I'd like to start. I've been wanting Eric Bieniemy back. I've been calling for it. I've been calling for it pretty much all season. And now that we got him back, I don't know how to feel about it, but I have to put myself in some different shoes and feel as excited as possible, because I think between this, we also picked up a wide receivers coach who has actually coached wide receivers and not just some guy. It's kind of exciting. And I think unfortunately for all the haters out there, the Chiefs should be back next year. That's the first one I want to start with. I don't know if you have any that you want to talk about specifically. We did talk about McDermott getting fired, Saleh getting hired to the Titans. So Matt Nagy, I thought that was a little weird. Nagy went to dinner with the Titans Sunday night, and then Monday afternoon they announced they were hiring Saleh. So that dinner must have been fucking awful. Maybe Matt Nagy shit his pants or something. I don't know what happened, but
food poisoning potentially,
possibly. And they were like, "Yo, it was this guy hired this other guy we talked to."
I think maybe Matt Nagy's just an unlikable individual.
I don't know. Like I don't hate him, but I do, but I don't. You know, it's weird.
You've never met him personally.
No. I don't think there was any major hirings out there, was there?
Stefanski to the Falcons.
Stefanski to the Falcons. That did happen.
That surprised the shit out of me, to be honest with you.
Baker did tweet about it. Let me read you this tweet real quick, because it was pretty funny. And it actually got me excited to watch that shit more than excuse me. Got me excited to watch that shit more than it got me excited to watch my Chiefs dominate again. So the headline reads, Baker Mayfield welcomes former head coach Kevin Stefanski to the NFC South. I don't know who D'Orlando Ledbetter is, but it said, Falcons Kevin Stefanski had a dumpster fire at quarterback in Cleveland. Baker Mayfield and Deshaun Watson failed, which started a chain reaction to 11 other starters. Quarterback Shredder Sanders closed out. Sorry, I just got another text here. Closed out the last season with 7 starts, which Baker then replied and retweeted whatever X says. Failed is quite the reach, pal. Still waiting on a text or call from him after I got shipped off like a piece of garbage. Can't wait to see you twice a year, coach. Ooh, that got me excited. I can't wait. I hope Baker's fully healthy, and I hope he beats the fuck out of the Falcons just because of what Stefanski did.
I think it's going to be a good rivalry, and I think it'll be close. I mean, they got Drake London, they got Bijan Robinson. I mean, they got a squad in Atlanta. They got Kamari Lassiter, still got Jesse Bates. They got a good pieces around that organization that can make those games good if they get some good coaching in there, put in some acceptable NFL type schemes and systems. I would look for that to be a very nice rivalry moving forward the next few years. I'm surprised, on this coaching thing, and I don't want to waste too much time on it. I am surprised that Todd Bowles gets to keep his job too. It seems like he's kind of been a disappointment overall.
I want to say they hired OC. You might have to look that up. And there's a reason why sometimes I wish this show was live. We actually have breaking news. Mike McDaniel is expected to become the Chargers offensive coordinator.
That is
via Adam Schefter.
I mean, that's exactly what I needed in my life, was the fucking Chargers to get better.
Yeah. So Broncos fan says, fuck that guy. Chargers Herbert could still lose their next playoff game with him if they make it at all, is from another guy in this text chain I'm in. But yeah, Mike McDaniel hired by the Chargers. Don't like that. Got to tell you, don't like that at all. It's kind of hoping he'd get a job somewhere else. But maybe he'll just, turn Herbert into the next Tua. Who knows? Like the right-handed version of Tua Tagovailoa. So, interesting there. Did the Falcons did get an OC? No, or who I was thought they did not get an OC. I'm sorry. They got an offensive line coach, which was Bill Callahan. Who's the other team we were talking about? The Bucks. Bucks OC. Okay, so they don't have an OC yet. Mike McDaniel was the favorite 4 hours ago. And now it looks like he's going to the Chargers. He was rumored for Bucks, Chargers, Eagles, Vikings, Jags, Commanders, and the Chargers got him. It looks like. So, interesting move there. We were speaking about the Bills earlier and possibly the internal promotion of Joe Brady. A lot of rumors saying potentially Daboll, or I think the OC of the Broncos, because I guess he really likes, I don't even know who the OC of the Broncos is. Dayball was kind of around for a part of that. And then the Broncos OC, I guess, is really close to Josh Allen. So it's potential that one of them might actually get the head coaching job, is what I'm hearing.
I mean, that's a good point. I kind of forgot Dayball was out there, honestly. And I mean, it seems like there's so many names getting tossed around. Somebody's not going to get a job too.
Yeah, 100%.
Which, I mean, seems crazy. And, one thing that maybe we hadn't considered for the Bills too is Mike McCarthy. Would he be a bad hire for the Bills? I don't know.
We also have guys that we got to think about still left in the playoffs that aren't probably going to interview anytime soon, like Kubiak. I don't think any of the Patriots guys are going to leave because it seems like they haven't been able to be successful outside except for Vrabel, who's obviously not leaving his head coaching job.
Listen, another thing, with Mike McDaniel getting brought on and that seeming like such like a big swing maybe for the offense, does Jesse Minter stay?
That's kind of, I was just about, as you were speaking, I don't know if you were like reading my mind, but I was like, yo, does Jesse Minter stay? Because now it seems like they got two powerhouse coaches on each side. Like, why would you leave that situation? It hasn't worked out for a lot of guys.
It seems like an all-star squad of coaches when you really
got a Harbaugh.
Got a Harbaugh leading it. You got Jesse Minter, who's like this vaunted defensive coordinator, this, desired offensive mind, and Mike McDaniel, who probably was, the moment may have been a little bit too big for him as a head coach. And, he's kind of taken a step back and he'll be able to kind of run things and focus in on an offense, which is probably where he lives inside of his mind anyway. I mean, it seems like they're going to be a really well-rounded coach group if they're able to retain those pieces. And I haven't seen that Jesse Minter has even interviewed with anybody. So maybe he's not even looking to leave.
I feel like I saw one, but I can't remember who it was.
I know that the Browns requested, I think.
But. Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Packers are interviewing Jonathan Gannon for their DC position this week. That tweet by Baker Mayfield also confirmed to be real. Not only did I see it's from Baker Mayfield, but Ian Rappaport retweeted it as well. Mike McDaniel, sorry, just scrolling through. Brian Flores is getting an interview, with Pittsburgh. Actually, the interview is completed, so it's possible that Brian Flores could be the next Pittsburgh coach. Which I think that was one that a lot of people kind of thought could happen. Like, that was the highest possibility I feel like I saw. Packers released Trayvon Diggs. So anybody out there wanting a really terrible cornerback, he's available. Did you see that the gum chewer himself is no longer in Pittsburgh?
Are you talking about Arthur Smith?
No. The
special teams guy?
Danny Smith. Yeah. Special teams.
Did he retire?
No, the Bucks are hiring him for special teams coordinator.
Is he not the oldest man alive?
72-year-old gum chewing Smith. He's on to Tampa. 72-year-old gum chewing Smith. Mike Garafolo tweeted that.
Nice. Well, I guess, you got to imagine since they got rid of Tomlin, they get rid of everybody else. I know Arthur Smith was interviewing for the OC position in Detroit.
Tomlin is?
No, Arthur Smith.
Oh, Arthur Smith. Yeah.
I was saying Mike Tomlin, all of his coordinators.
Yeah.
All those guys are probably out.
It's probably cleaning house. It's the same because a lot of people were, bitching even about Eric Bieniemy as Chiefs fans or other people this guy got fired multiple times. What's going on? He was never fired. Washington didn't fire him. Washington got new ownership. Ron Rivera was fired and they said, hey, we're not going to retain any of his staff because of how bad it was there. He didn't get fired by the Chiefs. He got hired by the Commanders to go over there. And I don't think he got fired from any of his other jobs. It is weird though. As far as we could tell, we only interviewed him, which I think still breaks the Rooney Rule. I think you have to have 3 interviewees. So I'm not sure how that's working out.
I don't know about all the intricacies of the Rooney Rule. I will say though, with the hire, we didn't talk on this with the hire of Rob Saleh. I haven't heard of anybody else who's interested in hiring Spags. Does he get to stay in Kansas City then? Like, you get to breathe a sigh of relief.
That's the hope. I mean, I feel like we gave him a nice contract to 2029. So that's the hope. I don't see his name being mentioned anywhere else. So,
I didn't see, I get like being a Bengals fan, I get a comprehensive list of everything the Browns are doing every day, and I have not seen him mentioned. So,
yeah. Joe Brady is interviewing with the Cardinals as well. He interviewed today. So just keep that in mind too with the Joe Brady news. I think OC for the Jaguars interview with the Ravens for the head coaching position, Anthony Campanile. I believe is how you say that. And the other big hire, Dolphins found their new head coach, a guy that I've never heard of. Jeff Hafley. He was the DC of the Packers, who, people are like, well, they were like top 11, but I didn't think their defense was all that good. It was only good when Micah Parsons was on the field.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that is their new head coach. Defensive minded too, for an offense that looks kind of rough as well. I don't know. What would you prefer? Do you prefer, I feel like we might have talked about this. Do you prefer an offensive minded head coach or defensive minded head coach?
If I was a team right now, I mean, I guess it depends. I'm more of like it depends. I like the player motivator coach. I think we've talked about this a little bit. I like the guy who is just the leader of men.
Yeah.
Coach. Yeah. But if I was picking like between an offensive guy and a defensive guy, I would rather have a defensive head coach than an offensive head coach. It seems like, offensive coordinators, generally, you can find a good offensive coordinator who can just kind of like nerd out.
Yeah.
And, be with the players and do that. I think that, there are instances where offensive head coaches have been incredibly successful. I think Andy Reid, a lot of people are like, he's an offensive genius. But he also brings in like, he's a good, mentor and development.
That's what a lot of people are saying about EB too, which I'm excited about. We went from ED to EB. Sorry to cut you off, but it's my favorite line from the day. We went from ED to EB, so pretty excited about that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just one of those things where it can work out either way. But if I was just gonna pick, if I had to pick between the two, I would rather get a defensive guy.
I could see that, which is why I wouldn't be upset if Spags took over the team after Reed is gone, just to give it a shot. But I would be fearful for Mahomes.
And I guess what I'm saying is, like, if you think about the offense, it's kind of like a 50-50 partnership between your QB who's leading you on the field and your OC, or if your head coach is calling plays. I think adding more personalities to that just complicates everything. And if you're giving, like, half of all of the responsibility to a player who's going to be on the field, I just think you're better off focusing on the defense and letting that shit happen.
Yeah. The last two things that I have is possibly good for you, although I don't think you're worried about this team at all. Jim Schwartz was granted a second interview with the Browns. So maybe luckily, for you, he might get hired as the head coach of the Browns, which means that team will just suck ass. And then I did find a tweet. The Steelers have interviewed Jesse Minter, but they have a long list and plan on selecting some of these candidates that they've interviewed for in-person interviews this week.
Man.
So we'll see what happens there. I think we're going to get it's good off season. And then now we also have Sean McDermott, who's available for some teams, to see what happens there and see if any team wants to pick up him. I don't think Sean McDermott was a terrible coach. I don't think he was great, but I don't think he was terrible either. So we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Maybe Carolina.
I could see that. Wait, Carolina has a coach.
Cardinals, Arizona.
Yeah, their CIR team. I gotcha. That does it for me. I've got nothing else. We went a little longer than I think we were expecting, but not bad. There was a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack this week.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I think that about covers it. We're both probably tired of hearing ourselves talk, so
100%.
Appreciate everybody for listening. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else. I was trying to think of something cool to say, and it lost me. I'm not a cool guy, but appreciate everybody who's watching. If you made it this far, you might as well like the video. If you can get this deep into it, you either fell asleep or you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But other than that, have a blessed day, all.
Moving on. Everybody enjoy the both conference championship games this week, and we'll find out next week who our Super Bowl matchup is. I'll be in New York, so fuck it. I may not even watch it. We'll see. Other than that, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.